For 60 years, scientists recorded sperm whale clicks and translated nothing. Then a $33 million initiative trained a transformer AI on over 100,000 of those clicks. What it found wasn't noise, it was structure. Combinatorial rules, individual voice prints, emotional context. Not a signal, a system. The AI didn't answer what whales are saying. It answered whether they are someone. And what that means for us is far worse. In 1970, a vinyl record titled Songs of the Humpback Whale spun on turntables across the world, carrying strange, echoing voices from the deep into living rooms and lecture halls. The recordings, captured by Roger Payne and Frank Watlington, revealed a soundscape that seemed both mathematical and mysterious. Yet, for all the beauty of those whale songs, the meaning behind them remained out of reach. Early hydrophones, limited by their narrow frequency range, missed the fine-grained details, the subtle intervals and overtones that might carry structure. Marine biologists filled notebooks with hand-drawn spectrograms, tracing the undulating patterns by eye. But no one could say whether these were messages or mere instinctive displays. Decades of effort layered up. Analog tapes from the 1960s, digital samplers in the 1980s, and computer-generated call catalogs in the 1990s. Each advance revealed more complexity, but not a single translation. Humpback songs were tracked across entire ocean basins, with motifs detected over 10,000 miles apart, hinting at a communication system that spanned continents. Still, the sounds themselves resisted every attempt at decoding. The ocean became a corridor of echoes, vast, continuous, and unreadable. Each new technology brought hope, but the riddle only deepened, and the data kept growing, waiting for a tool that could finally see the patterns hidden in the noise. In 2022, a new kind of research institution took shape. Project CETI, the Cetacean Translation Initiative. With $33 million in funding and a roster anchored by MIT and Harvard, the project set out to capture the largest and most detailed record of sperm whale communication ever attempted. Off the coast of Dominica, engineers lowered a web of 48 broadband hydrophones into the deep, each tuned to pick up the full range of whale clicks, frequencies, and intervals that earlier equipment had missed. Surface drones repositioned the array, adjusting to whale movements in real time, while suction cup tags clung to the backs of individual whales, recording clicks and social context from less than a meter away. The logistics were unprecedented. Hundreds of terabytes of raw audio, annotated with GPS, depth, and behavioral notes, poured in from the field. By the end of the first phase, the team had assembled a dataset of more than 100,000 distinct codas, each one a possible unit of meaning, each paired with the circumstances of its utterance. No other non-human communication corpus comes close in scale or detail. For the first time, researchers were not starved for data or limited by analog tape. They faced a new problem: how to make sense of abundance, and whether the patterns hidden in this ocean of clicks might finally reveal a system, not just a signal. Researchers turned to a new class of artificial intelligence known as transformers, deep learning models first developed for parsing the structure of human language. Unlike earlier algorithms, these networks could attend to patterns across thousands of whale clicks, not just isolated bursts. The model was trained on over 100,000 sperm whale codas. As training progressed, the transformer began to cluster clicks into nested hierarchies, individual acoustic units grouped into larger sequences, which themselves formed recurring patterns within the pod. Attention maps revealed dependencies that stretched across entire exchanges, capturing not only the rhythm of the clicks, but their ordering and timing. The model identified voice prints, distinct acoustic signatures tied to individual whales, persisting across months. For the first time, the data pointed to a structured, language-like system, not a random scatter of sounds, but an architecture complete with rules, positions, and layers of meaning. The question was no longer whether the codas were signals, but whether they belonged to a system capable of expressing identity, intent, and perhaps even emotion. Not every scientist is convinced that the patterns uncovered by AI point to language in the sense humans understand it. Independent bioacousticians, like Dr. Paula Miller at Scripps, warn that deep learning models are prone to finding structure in noise, especially when trained on massive, unbalanced datasets. Over 80% of Project SETI's click recordings come from a single region near Dominica, raising concerns about geographic bias. Without data from other populations, it is impossible to know if these patterns are truly universal or just local dialects. Statistical rigor demands more than high accuracy on a single corpus. Replication by independent teams using open data and transparent methods remains the gold standard. Dr. Miller has called for the full release of SETI's raw recordings and annotation protocols, arguing that only with external scrutiny can claims of combinatorial grammar withstand scientific testing. The excitement around decoding must be balanced against the risk of seeing language where there is only complexity. The lab's usual hum faded to silence when the AI flagged a sequence from a mother separated from her calf. In the waveform, a rare coda appeared, a cluster of low, measured clicks repeated only in moments of separation and distress. The model's attention map lit up with certainty. This was not random noise, but a compound message. Context tags from field logs confirmed the scene: a calf drifting from its mother, the pod circling in agitation, the same coda echoing through the water. Dr. Shane Jarrow, who had spent years mapping the lives of these whales, sat at his desk, reading the model's output with growing unease. He later described that moment. When the model lit up with that distress coda, the lab fell silent. It was the first time a machine told us we were hearing a meaningful signal, not just noise. That night, we rewrote the project's purpose, from curiosity to conservation. The discovery forced a reckoning. If a whale can transmit a message of need, then the question is no longer what they are saying, but who is speaking. The inquiry into structure had become a confrontation with identity, and the data on the screen now carried the weight of an ethical demand. An adult sperm whale's brain weighs close to 8 kilograms, by far the largest of any animal on Earth. Its neocortex, the seat of abstract thought and memory, is not only immense but densely folded, with an association cortex that rivals and, in some ways, exceeds that of humans. Neuroscientists who have studied postmortem scans describe intricate networks connecting auditory regions to vast swaths of cortex, forming an architecture built for processing complex acoustic patterns. This biological substrate is not a recent adaptation. The sperm whale lineage has carried it for over 30 million years. Yet anatomy alone does not account for what the AI models have uncovered. The codas passed between whales do not just repeat, they evolve. Field logs document how a novel click sequence introduced by a matriarch can ripple through her pod across decades, persisting as a vocal tradition. Calves learn these codas from elders, practicing them in social play, and juveniles sometimes invent new patterns that, if adopted, become part of the group's repertoire. These are the hallmarks of cultural transmission, learning, innovation, and inheritance not through genes, but through sound. In the words of Professor Maya Patel, an 8-kilogram brain with a highly developed neocortex gives the anatomical substrate for abstract symbol processing. The evidence for culture, codas that persist across generations, dialects that define clans, grounds the ethical urgency in biology. If whales possess both the machinery and the means for tradition, the question of rights is no longer philosophical speculation, but a matter of recognizing what is already present in the deep. Legal scholars face a dilemma that science cannot settle. If whale clicks are more than signals, if they hold meaning, then the killing of nearly 3 million whales in the last century becomes something darker, the loss of entire cultures. Whaling footage, once a symbol of industry, now looks like evidence of cultural destruction. Professor Elena Garcia, an authority in animal rights law, warns that if whales are language users, our marine protection laws need a radical overhaul. Project CETI's latest experiments have added urgency. Using their transformer model, researchers broadcast synthetic codas to wild sperm whales. When an AI-generated distress coda played, mother-calf pairs changed their surfacing patterns and drew closer, a reaction absent in control trials. These findings, still under ethical review, raise questions about consent and the risk of manipulating a sentient system whose experience we barely grasp. CETI's team urges caution. Some advocates push for immediate whale rights, while others warn that premature personhood claims could undermine existing protections. The policy debate is heated, with no easy answers. The search for meaning in whale clicks now stretches beyond biology. At NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory, the same transformer model is being adapted to scan cosmic radio signals for signs of intelligence. The parallel is striking, trying to understand a mind utterly unlike our own, whether beneath the waves or across the stars. The question remains unresolved. What does it mean to truly hear another intelligence? And what do we owe it? Today, AI has forced us to recognize a system, not just a signal, in the voices of whales. The question is no longer what they say, but who they are. As science redraws the boundaries of personhood, our moral responsibilities deepen. Some answers demand more than translation.